Hello, this is Dr. Shakita Hargrove, and I want to thank you for viewing To Obtain and Keep. As we go through the lesson, questions will be posed, and so I will encourage you to take notes and pause the video when necessary. Also, the PDF file is available for download right beneath this video. Let's get started. Our main scriptures for the lesson will be coming from First Chronicles chapter 13 and First Chronicles chapter 15. And our biblical example is bringing back the ark. And so before we go into the lesson, there are about 16 or more, 18 questions that are listed that I'm not going to read all of them. I'm just going to skim through them because you are able to pause the video to be able to write them down, or you can just download the PDF file to have them in your possession so that you're able to go back through the questions and answer them and just think on them to see where you stand as far as obtaining your promise, obtaining your purpose, as well as keeping those things. And so here we are with some of the questions. And so, have you ever failed to obtain something that you really wanted? Did it ever cross your mind that God must not want you to succeed or be happy? Is there something that you really want out of life? Has God allowed you to touch your promise but not keep it? Are you willing to work to obtain your promise or what you want? Do you believe that God gives you another chance to try and obtain your promise or obtain what you want? Are you willing to try again? And are you willing to prepare now for your promise or that thing that you want? And also, do you have someone in your life who works hard to help you? There is a way to obtain and keep. There is a way for you to obtain your promise, obtain whatever it is that you're trying to seek after and bring it to your possession. There is a way to obtain and keep it. Oftentimes, we are unable to keep the thing that we have in our hand because of mismanaging it or allowing the wrong people to touch or manipulate that which we have. So just know that as we progress through this lesson, that there is a way to obtain and keep. And our lesson today is broken off into three sections. And the first section is the wrong way. So before we talk about the right way, let's talk about the wrong way. So consulting out of order. First Chronicles chapter 13 verses 1 through 4. David conferred with each of his officers, the commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds. He then said to the whole assembly of Israel, "If it seems good to you, and if it is the will of the Lord our God, let us send word far and wide to the rest of our people throughout the territories of Israel, and also to the priests and Levites who are with them in their towns and pasture lands, to come and join us. Let us bring the ark of our God back to us, for we did not inquire of it during the reign of Saul." The whole assembly agreed to this because it seemed right to all the people. And so when we look at these four verses, one of the things that stands out is that David did not consult with God. David did not confer with God. What David did was he conferred with each of his officers and the commanders, and he then sent word far and wide for the rest of the people throughout the territory, also the priests and the Levites. In all of this, David did not consult with God. And the response that the people gave didn't show assured confidence, because what they said was it seemed right to all the people. They didn't say that it was right. So oftentimes when we're trying to obtain something, it may appear to be the right method, but it's not. And so to make sure that you are doing things in the right way, in the right order, at the right time, make sure that you consult with God first. And here we are at taking the wrong people with you. Taking the wrong people with you. First Chronicles chapter 13 verses 5 through 6. So David assembled all Israel from the Shihor River in Egypt to Lebo Hamath to bring the ark of God from Kiriath Jearim. David and all Israel went to Bala of Judah to bring up from there the ark of God the Lord, who is enthroned between the cherubim, the ark that is called by the name. When we are on a journey, when you are on your journey to obtain your promise, to fulfill your purpose, you have to make sure that you are taking the right people with you. Don't just take the people who are currently present in your life, or who you visibly see on a regular basis, but make sure that you have the right people journeying with you to obtain the thing that you want. David wanted to bring the ark of God back. But we see the first thing that he did wrong was that he did not consult God first. Matter of fact, at this time, he did not consult with God at all. And the second thing that he did was that he took the wrong people with him. So make sure that you consult with God and make sure that you take the right people with you. Know that there is a proper way. There is a proper way to obtain. First Chronicles 13 verses 7 through 8. They moved the ark of God from Abinadab's house on a new cart, with Uzzah and Ahio guiding it. David and all the Israelites were celebrating with all their might before God, with songs and with harps, lyres, timbrels, cymbals, and trumpets. So David just knew that he did something. He just knew that he was on the right path, and so he was celebrating while the ark was on a new cart. This was the improper way of moving, transporting, carrying, obtaining the ark. So let's look at these three following bullets. First, who is to carry the ark? Numbers 7 and 9. But Moses did not give any to the Kohathites, because they were to carry on their shoulders the holy things, for which they were responsible. These were the only individuals at the time who were responsible for carrying the holy things. And if we look at the previous slide, we will see that these people, these individuals from this tribe, were not mentioned. And we already see in First Chronicles 13, 7 and 8, in verse 7, who was actually transporting the ark on the cart and who was guiding it. So there is specific people who are supposed to be carrying or assisting you with carrying your promise, with carrying your purpose. So whatever it is that you're trying to obtain, make sure that you have the right people assisting you with carrying it, carrying the weight, the burden of it. The use of poles. Exodus 25 verses 14 through 15. Insert the poles into the rings on the sides of the ark to carry it. The poles are to remain in the rings of this ark. They are not to be removed. They are not to be removed. The ark is to be carried with the poles resting upon the shoulders. But we go back to 1 Chronicles 13:7 through 8. They put the ark on a new cart. Their method of carrying was wrong. And so David would have known the proper way, the instructions on how to obtain and carry, if he would have consulted with God. So make sure that you consult with God first before trying to obtain, before trying to get something. Make sure that you consult with him so that you know the proper way to receive and get it. No human hand was to touch it. No human hand was to touch the ark. Numbers 4:15. After Aaron and his sons have finished covering the holy furnishings and all the holy articles, and when the camp is ready to move, only then are the Kohathites to come and do the carrying. But they must not touch the holy things, or they will die. The Kohathites are to carry those things that are in the tent of meeting. Specific people are to carry it, and not everyone can touch it. In the example of the ark, no human hand was to touch it. And you can also read 1 Samuel 6:19 for another reference scripture on the fact that no human hand was to touch the ark. So just think about this. Who is allowed to touch your purpose? Who is allowed to touch your assignment? Who is allowed to touch the thing that you are trying to obtain? So make sure that when you seek God concerning an assignment, concerning trying to obtain something, concerning your purpose, make sure you sit and rest in Him so that He can give you the specific instructions on how to obtain, on how to carry, what to use, who can be involved in your movement, who can be involved with your purpose and obtaining the promise or whatever it is that you're trying to receive or whatever it is that you're trying to seek. Who's supposed to be involved? What's the timeline? Make sure you start off right by consulting and conferring with God first. Also, when you do no research, this is what happens. When you do no research, 1 Chronicles 13, verse 9 through 10. When they came to the threshing floor of Kedon, Uzzah reached out his hand to steady the ark because the oxen stumbled. The Lord's anger burned against Uzzah, and he struck him down because he had put his hand on the ark, so he died there before God. When you do no research, harm is brought. Harm is just not brought to you, but harm is brought to those that you have taken along with you on your journey to obtain. So make sure that you do your research. Also, whose fault is it? Whose fault is it that Uzzah died, that these things were going on? 1 Chronicles 13:11. Then David was angry because the Lord's wrath had broken out against Uzzah, and to this day that place is called Perez Uzzah. Whose fault is it? The person who was leading the charge, the person who went before the commanders, the person who sent message out far and wide for people to come and to assist, and who he told to do these things. He positioned these people. And so, being that David was leading the charge, leading this thing, because David was the one who wanted to go get it and obtain it, whose fault is it? So, whose fault is it when you send somebody to do something for you and there is a pain, there is a loss, something negative happens because you didn't take the time to seek the Lord. Make sure you seek the Lord. And a little too late, a little too late. First Chronicles 13 and 12. David was afraid of God that day and asked, how can I ever bring the ark of God to me? How can I ever bring the ark of God to me? Now that someone has passed away, now that someone has been lost, now David asks, how can I ever bring the ark of God to me? So, don't wait until something drastic or dramatic happens in your life before you seek God for instructions and guidance. Because at this point, David was afraid of God that day, and he asked, how can I ever bring the ark of God to me? When you are in that place of peace, when you are in that right relationship with God, and that place of just prayer and communing with Him, or just living your life in the glory of God, ask Him for His instructions and guidance concerning everything in your life, right? So make sure you seek God. Make sure you consult with Him and obtain but not kept. Obtain but not kept. And so this refers to one of the questions that was asked earlier. Have you ever received a promise but didn't keep it or couldn't keep it? So obtain but not kept. First Chronicles 13:13. He did not take the ark to be with him in the city of David. Instead, he took it to the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. So David had it. He had the ark, but he didn't keep it. He left it there. So at times, when you don't do things the right way when trying to obtain, you may have to leave it somewhere, and you can't bring it back with you at that particular time. So there is a wrong way to obtain. There is a wrong way to obtain. Intermission. So section 2 is really quick. It's our intermission. So preparing for what's not yet. Preparing for what's not yet. First Chronicles 15 and 1. After David had constructed buildings for himself in the city of David, he prepared a place for the ark of God and pitched a tent for it. So just think about it. We were just in First Chronicles chapter 13. Skip 14. We're now in chapter 15. David did not forget about the ark. He simply continued to work, and he continued to prepare to obtain the ark. So just because you may have failed the first time, the second time, the fifth time, the 50th time, don't give up when you know it is something that you are supposed to have. You're taking back your territory, you're taking back your property. Don't lose hope. Simply continue to build, continue to construct, continue to be productive in your now and prepare for what's not yet. So don't lose hope and sit idly by and forget about your promise and forget about your purpose and forget about the thing that you are supposed to obtain. Simply become more knowledgeable in what it is that you're supposed to have and begin to prepare for it. As it says in this scripture, he prepared a place for the ark of God and pitched a tent for it. He prepared a place for it. So have you prepared a place for the thing that you are waiting to receive, that you are trying to obtain and bring into your possession, to have into your now place, your now season? Have you prepared a place for it? It could be as simple as someone wanting to go and buy a new sofa set, but they haven't prepared a place for it in their residence. They went out and purchased it. They organized for when the movers are supposed to come, but when the movers arrive, there's no place for it. They didn't clean up. They didn't declutter. And so now you have your furniture outside, and what if it starts raining? So just make sure that you prepare a place, prepare for the thing that you are trying to obtain. Don't get lazy during your intermission. Don't quit. Don't become passive. Make sure that you stay out of a negative headspace. Make sure that you stay in the spirit of positivity, and continue to put your hands to work. Continue to do whatever it is that you need to do during intermission while preparing for the thing that you need, the thing that you're supposed to have. So don't quit during intermission. During intermission, you are still working, you are still building, you are still constructing, you are still preparing to obtain. Don't lose hope because of a failure. Believe in the grace and the favor of God and know that you will receive your promise. Don't quit. And so here we are with section 3, the right way. Section 3, the right way. There is a right way to obtain so that you may keep. Correcting the wrong. Whatever you did wrong the first time, correct it, fix it, and go get it. Correct it, fix it, go get it. First Chronicles 15 verses 2 through 5, and then verses 11 and 12. Then David said, "No one but the Levites may carry the ark of God, because the Lord chose them to carry the ark of the Lord and to minister before him forever." David assembled all Israel in Jerusalem to bring up the ark of the Lord to the place he had prepared for it. He called together the descendants of Aaron and the Levites from the descendants of Kohath, Uriel the leader, and 120 relatives. Then David summoned Zadok and Abiathar the priests, and Uriel, Uzziah, Joel, Shemaiah, Eliel, and Aminadab the Levites. He said to them, "You are the heads of the Levitical families. You and your fellow Levites are to consecrate yourselves and bring up the ark of the Lord, the God of Israel, to the place I have prepared for it." So David corrected the wrong. The wrong that he corrected was making sure that he had the right people with him, and making sure that he had the right people carrying and transporting the ark. And so we saw in previous verses that it was the Kohathites that were to carry the holy things. And so he made sure that he had the right people going to carry that which he wanted to obtain. And in this example, bringing back the ark. So make sure that you correct your wrong, and make sure that you have the right people going with you to obtain. Having the right people to carry your purpose, carry your promise, to help you transport and move things into your life that are supposed to be there. So make sure you have that moment to sit down, evaluate your top 5, your tribe, your people. Lord, who are you sending my way to help me to obtain in this season? Who is supposed to be with me as I obtain? Make sure you seek the Lord, and I promise you, he will answer. Admitting your mistake or your mistakes. It is okay to admit when you are wrong. It is okay. First Chronicles 15 and 13. It was because you, the Levites, did not bring it up the first time that the Lord our God broke out in anger against us. We did not inquire of him about how to do it in the prescribed way. So David was being honest. We didn't inquire of him. We didn't ask the Lord, how we were supposed to bring this ark back. And so, because of that, the Lord our God broke out in anger against us. But we now know the right way. We saw the wrong way. We went through intermission. While in intermission, I continued to build, to construct, and to prepare. And now we are getting everybody in their rightful place. We have the Levites. They've all consecrated themselves, and we are now ready to move forward. And so I admit my mistakes. I didn't consult with God first. I conferred with other people without even seeking the Lord. So make sure that you seek the Lord. Consult with Him first. Everyone must prepare themselves, not just you, but everybody connected to you who's supposed to go forth with you to obtain. Everyone must prepare themselves. First Chronicles 15 and 14. So the priests and Levites consecrated themselves in order to bring up the ark of the Lord, the God of Israel. Everybody who is participating in bringing back this ark had to prepare themselves. So who's ever going with you to help you bring back something, they need to prepare themselves. Don't allow people to be in your group to go on this journey with you and they're not prepared to carry, that they're not prepared to walk and journey with you. So make sure that as you prepare yourself, that everybody who's going along with you, they are preparing themselves as well. So the priests and Levites, they consecrated themselves. If you are on a journey for the Lord to obtain and to get, and the Lord has called you to consecrate yourself, to go before Him, to pray, to seek His face, and to fast, then those who are journeying with you should do the same. So make sure that those who are with you are preparing themselves as well. Everyone has a job. Everyone has a job. First Chronicles chapter 15, verse 15 through 24. There are a lot of names in here, but it's First Chronicles chapter 15, verse 15 through 24. I'm just going to jump around in here. And it says, and the Levites carried the ark of God with the poles on their shoulders, as Moses had commanded in accordance with the word of the Lord. David told the leaders of the Levites to appoint their fellow Levites as musicians to make a joyful sound with musical instruments, lyres, harps, and cymbals. So the Levites appointed Heman, son of Joel, from his relatives, Asaph, son of Berechiah, and from their relatives, the Merarites, Ethan, son of Kishiah, and with them their relatives next in rank. So they began to appoint people. They began to have those that were gatekeepers, musicians. They were to sound the bronze cymbals. So everybody was doing something. They were to play the lyres according to Elamoth. Everybody was doing something. So don't allow people to go with you just to spectate. Make sure that they are doing something. Make sure that they are fulfilling a purpose and a role for you to obtain. Make sure they were playing the harps, directing according to Sheminith. So make sure that the people who are going with you, that they are doing something. They have to be productive as well. It even says that Kenaniah, the lead Levite, was in charge of the singing. That was his responsibility because he was skilled at it. It was his responsibility because he was skilled at it. Don't put people in a position when they're not skilled at it. Make sure that you position people in the right place as you are moving forward to obtain. So make sure that people are utilizing their strengths. Don't just put a person there just because they want it, but you know they're not the best fit because that's not their strength area. They're not skilled at it. But make sure that you give people a responsibility where they are skillful at. You also had those who are doorkeepers for the ark. And the priests, they were to blow trumpets before the ark of God. Everybody was involved. Everybody did something. And it said they also had Obed Edom and Jehiah were also to be doorkeepers for the ark. So everybody was positioned. Everybody was doing something. Everybody had to put their hands to work. So don't be the only person moving and carrying the weight. to obtain when you have all of these people journeying with you. They're not supposed to spectate. They're not supposed to see you suffering and not asking, okay, what is it that I need to help relieve some of the burden, some of the pressure. When you have people going with you, when you have your tribe, when you have the right people in place, make sure that they're putting their hands to work. Make sure that they're doing what their assignment is in that now time with you. And then also make sure that you put people in their rightful place where they are skillful at. Make sure that you do your part and position and assign your people, because everyone has a job to do. Everyone has a job to do. And go get it. Go get it. Now that you've done everything right, now that you positioned your people, it's now time to go get it. First Chronicles 15:25. So David and the elders of Israel and the commanders of units of 1,000 went to bring up the ark of the covenant of the Lord from the house of Obed Edom with rejoicing. Go get it. You've now prepared a place. You've now positioned your people. You started off by consulting God. You admitted your faults. You fixed it. And it's now time to move and go get it. And look at this. How long does it take you to try again? After you failed the first time, have you tried at it again? Or are you still thinking about it, or you just let it go? Let's look at what First Chronicles 13 and 14 says. It says, the ark of God remained with the family of Obed Edom in his house for 3 months, and the Lord blessed his household and everything he had. So once David left the ark there, he went back home to prepare. And it says here that he tried again in 3 months. He went through his phase of intermission, he got it together, and he went to go try again. Don't lose hope. Try again. Then here we are with God's help. First Chronicles 15 verse 26. Because God had helped the Levites who were carrying the ark of the covenant of the Lord, 7 bulls and 7 rams were sacrificed. The Lord will help you carry when you do it his way. The Lord will help you carry when you do it his way. So make sure that you seek the Lord and you consult with him. Ask him, Lord, what is your way? How do you want me to obtain it? Give me your blueprint. Provide me with your strategies. So make sure, like I said earlier, make sure that you sit in a quiet place before the Lord and wait for his answer. Allow him to answer you so that you won't get up and try to produce and obtain in your own way and end up harming yourself or someone else, and you end up doing something that you weren't supposed to do. Consult with the Lord the right way. There is a right way to obtain and a right way to keep. If you obtain it the right way, you shall keep it. If you obtain it the right way, you shall keep it. We are now at our last slide for to obtain and keep. And so let's read this verse. Proverbs 4 verses 25 through 27. Look straight ahead and fix your eyes on what lies before you. Mark out a straight path for your feet. Stay on the safe path. Don't get sidetracked. keep your feet far from following evil. So make sure that as you are preparing or as you are going to obtain, make sure that you look straight ahead. Keep your eyes fixed on the purpose. Keep your eyes fixed on the assignment. Make sure that you are walking a straight path. Make sure that you stay on that safe path. That safe path is with God. It's God's path. It's God's design. It's God's direction. Make sure you stay on his path. Do not get sidetracked. Do not get distracted. Do not listen to the naysayers. Do not listen to any chaos or anything that is going on around you that is trying to distract you and take your mind or your vision or your sight off of the thing that you are trying to go and obtain. Make sure that you keep your feet from following evil. Don't let anyone or anything try to entice you off of that straight path to your focus, to your purpose, to the thing that you are trying to do. Don't allow people or anyone allow you to cross over and go onto an unsafe path. Stay focused. You are able to obtain and keep the very thing that God wants you to have when you stay focused, when you keep your head, your eyes straight ahead. Look at your focus. Look at what it is. Look at your purpose. Look at the thing that you are trying to reach and obtain. Continue to press forward. Stay on the path of God. Stay with him. The Lord will walk before you to guide you. He will walk behind you to protect you. He will walk beside you to be your friend. Rely on the Lord. Consult with him. If you get confused or you don't know which way to go because somebody done came and whispered something into your ear, don't move on that whisper. Consult with the Lord. Repent and say, Lord, I allow somebody to come into my ear gate. I need to regain my focus because I'm going to obtain and keep the thing that you have for me. So make sure that you stay focused. Make sure that you adhere to the voice of the Lord and just make sure that you just continue to press. And if you failed before, try again. Try again. And I want to thank you so much for listening to this lesson, for watching this lesson to obtain and keep. If you have any questions, you can email me and I will respond. I do encourage you to go back and look at those questions that were in the beginning. Download the PDF file so that you can go back and reflect on the question, review this lesson however many times that you need to. And I hope that you continue to live a blessed and prosperous life. Go get it. Go get it. You are able to obtain and keep.